Welcome to the Magnet Poll, where we dive into Miami-Dade's most innovative and exciting magnet programs that truly make Miami-Dade County Public Schools your best choice in education. I'm Jacqueline Basayo, Executive Director with the Office of Innovation and Advancement, and today we are showcasing a school where creativity and curiosity come together to shape the way that students learn from the very beginning. Citrus Grove K-8 Center is home to the Starts Squared Magnet Program, a unique program that blends the sciences, technology, and the arts with a unique focus on digital music production. Joining us today are Ms. Veronica Bello, Principal of Citrus Grove K-8 Center, and Mr. Kevin Muncy, Magnet Music Lead Teacher. Welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
So let's start from the beginning, and let's start by setting the stage for our listeners. Because Citrus Grove K-8 Center, it's not just a school, right? You offer so much more than that because of this Start Squared programming that you have, and you've had now for a few years. So for families who may not be familiar with Citrus Grove or never heard of the school before, how would you describe Citrus Grove K-8, and what do you feel makes it, stand apart from other schools in the district?
Citrus Grove K-8 Center is so unique, so innovative with so many ideas and things that our students can collaborate and come together to do. So our STARTS program has really opened that up with the creativity for our students to do things beyond the classroom and beyond our academics that our students do daily. So beyond the science and social studies, reading, mathematics, students are now having opportunities to explore, collaborate, and do experiments, work with music, and really dive deeper into what they enjoy, which is great about our school.
Yeah. And you are a Start Squared. Start Squared is the program, and the way that came about, so for those listening, it really was developed because the school system, Miami-Dade County Public Schools, received a grant through the Magnet Schools Assistance Program, and that is how we brought the Starts and the Start Squared brand to our schools. And so with that, and a lot of families don't know, here we are opening this new program and really re-envisioning a school, right? Citrus Grove used to be an elementary school, and then you had your middle school next door. That got reconfigured into a K-8 center. And with that came this magnet program through this grant where we were able to kind of offer the science component of the magnet program and the music beginning in kindergarten. And so, I'm a product of Citrus Grove back when it was a middle school. So it's been so nice to kind of see that transformation through the years and see kind of how you're saying, like how the learning has been elevated to really give students a little bit extra. So I know we're going to dive into like the nuts and bolts of what the Start Squared program offers, but what is a benefit to having like a program like this at a K-8 center?
The great thing about this program is that it includes all our students. All our students, from the moment they register and are a part of our school, they're a part of the program. So it allows all students to participate in an interest that they have, starting as young as kindergarten and transitioning all the way into 8th grade. So year by year, they're growing and gradually getting more exposed to the craft that they enjoy the most once they register at our school. So that's the beauty of it. It's not a selection. It's more of everybody's invited to be a part of this magnet program the moment that they're a part of our school.
Which is great. All they need is to be interested.
That's right.
And it is very global in nature. So you're combining your science, technology, and then you have this digital music piece that I kind of want to dive into. We know that in every school across the district, based on, whatever state law we follow, there's certain requirements that our kids have to receive, right? They're going to receive their science, their social studies, their English, math. Kids are going to receive music. But now the way that kids are receiving music at Citrus Grove looks very different. So I'm going to turn it to Mr. Muncy to kind of tell us, what does that look like, especially when we're talking about our youngest learners in kindergarten? What does that music education look like?
Well, it's a combination of what you would normally see traditionally in other schools. Like we do cover music literacy, and we do ensemble practice, and we do things that everybody else would do. But we also give them an opportunity to be creative in that. So we have a technology component where we have iPads where they can record music. They learn to play various instruments during their meetings. So like, say for example, all my students are literate. They can all play and read drum music, ukulele music, keyboard music. They know how rhythms and pitches work on a staff. They know how all this stuff works on a graph, if you were to put it on a graph, which is kind of a cross-curricular component. There's math involved in it. There's a lot of there's even some language involved. My kindergartners are, for instance, their last project, they wrote a tune, and it's not a little tune. It's a tune with 4 verses and a pre-chorus and a pretty catchy hook, and it's 2 minutes long.
That's awesome.
And the next step would be to put that onto tape, and then once we put it on tape, we'll not just put the song with the melody that they wrote on there and the lyrics that they wrote on there. We'll also include what kind of instruments do they want to hear? How loud or how soft does it need to be? How fast should it be to be effective? All of these things are decisions that they can make, and this is a kindergarten and first grade that's doing this right now. And there's also time to work on social emotional learning and taking turns and listening to each other and doing those kinds of things, which is normal stuff that you would cover in a music class. And at the same time, it ties all of the other classes that they're doing together. Like, we'll do tunes about, seasons and senses and science and different things like that.
Yeah.
Second grade through 5th grade is a little bit more hands-on with instruments. Everything is hands-on for the most part. We don't spend all of our time on screens. We spend probably about 5 to 10% of the time actually physically working on the iPads. The rest of the time is learning how to play and craft and write and do all of this stuff. So it kind of ties everything together, but it's super hands-on. They get to play every single day. We don't have any dead time in any of our rehearsals. It's bell to bell.
Which is incredible.
Yeah.
And I know, like, in a traditional school, I know in kindergarten, for instance, kids aren't going to special area teachers at that point. That kindergarten teacher is basically teaching them music. So at a school like Citrus, obviously kids as young as kindergarten are being given this music instruction through a music teacher, which is incredible.
Right.
We know kids learn through music, right? From when you're young, we're singing nursery rhymes. And so when we talk about magnet programs and we're talking about, like, what's your child interested in, and when they're so little, are they really going to be musicians? We don't know, but we know the power of music, right? And how that can impact the rest of what they're learning.
Right.
It's very impactful, and it transitions into the academics, which is great. Just like music alone, when you're teaching fluency, you're learning notes, beats, rhythms, pace, time. That alone also transitions into reading. When we're learning how to read, phonics, fluency, phonemic awareness, sound recognition, all of that starting at a young age just transitions. So it's just a unique way of bringing everything together, not only just the academic piece, but also the creativity piece.
Absolutely.
And, students who may struggle sometimes learning in the academic world, they build in this other area and slowly are learning and grasping skills and concepts quicker than they even can imagine.
Absolutely.
Just because they are exposed and have these opportunities. So it's really great to see that, especially starting at a young age, going in all the way to 8th grade.
And I do think there's a part of the brain that gets developed when you're involved in the arts, right? And music specifically. I remember growing up, VH1 had a whole Save the Music campaign.
Yeah.
And it was so much of that because I know it develops part of the brain. So a student that may be struggling academically for whatever reason, right? They learn it a different way. To have music incorporated into their school day, I'm sure that they can learn jingles about, how to chunk a word or different things that they're learning, which I think is great.
Yeah.
Before we move on, because I do want to kind of talk about, like, the science component of the STARTS program, I just want to say, when I came to Citrus recently, I went into your classroom and there was a group of kids and they were using not traditional instruments, or maybe they were instruments and I just didn't know. They looked like these tubes, like these sound tubes, right? And they were making this beat, and it was so cool to see them learn the pattern, right? So now they're listening. Now they have to mimic it. They're learning the pattern, but then at the end of it, after you did all that and you recorded it, you pieced it into some other musical sequence that you had, and you were creating the new soul song, which I know from the Apple commercials.
Right.
But I haven't heard it in years, and I remember being in your classroom and being like, wow, like, what an incredible way to teach music. I mean, I don't know if these kids know the Apple commercial and that song specifically, that's where that song came from, but it was so cool to see them learn music in a different way, learning non-traditional instruments, and how it all came together to make that song.
Yeah, I mean, going back to the brain thing, music is one of the only activities that fires all the parts of the brain simultaneously, because it's not just, that builds part of the brain, it's all of it. And so it's being used, to one, use your hands, use your feet, do different patterns in different places. We do a lot of body percussion, non-traditional stuff like that. And but yeah, the amazing thing, I think you walked into second grade, they were the ones doing it. Most of the time you walk into any traditional music classroom in the second grade and they're doing a song in unison. They're all singing the same parts, or they're all playing the same drum parts, or they're all playing the same instrument at the same time. But and we do that too, but we're able to, through the track recording process, say, okay, we're going to learn this part. Now let's put it there. Now let's learn the next part. Now let's go ahead and record it and stack it. Let's do the next part. And then by the time you get done, you have an entire product. And so they get to play every single part on that recording, and they see how it all locks in together and how important it is to keep time as a group. And as far as how it helps, it's a fantastic supplement to especially kindergarten and first grade, where now since academics are so heavy now, there's not a lot of time for the learning to be in a group, learning to work together, that sort of thing. This is the one place where they get to reinforce that. And then they're like, listen, we're all in this together. We're going to go ahead and do this at the same time and try to help each other out. So they're a little bit more socially aware at the end of this, which is great.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I know obviously there's a lot of hands-on learning happening in music,
yeah.
but with the STARTS program, you also are incorporating science and technology. So if we can just talk a little bit about what that hands-on learning looks like, and how we're really moving beyond learning in a textbook at Citrus Grove, right? And whether that be through industry exposure or actually different experiments that they're working on. Can you tell us a little bit about that piece?
So the great thing about it is that they get to do thematic units. So all the grade levels are focused on one. For example, our third grade students focused on ocean animals, sharks. They did a whole thematic unit on it beyond the classroom. They went on field trips. They're collaboratively working together to create these thematic unit projects at the end, and then displaying their work. And it's so important to showcase what students do and create presentations about their work. Again, using technology, using the sciences, the math, basic curriculum, and building it into their interests. What the students created, it was incredible. Walking the hallways and just seeing how it builds when you walk and see the student work displayed, and they realize that they created this craft when they worked together. It's truly incredible to see that. And they become so interested that they want to build more and do more. So these labs are very important. These moments where they work together to create their units is important. And again, even when we look at music, when you see it chunked in small pieces, and then when they realize that it comes together to create something whole, I think that's when that aha moment happens for them, and they become so knowledgeable. It's just incredible how they communicate that information that they've learned and the interest that they have, and how it builds over time.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, and seeing them learn that way, I'm
Yes.
sure, has an impact on how they learn and how they see learning and how they feel about wanting to learn.
Yes.
And I know you're relatively new to the school as a principal. How have you seen, in the time that you've been there, do you see a program like this impacting student learning, right? Do you see it impacting culture? Because there's so much that goes into it.
Absolutely. There is so much. And the teachers are amazing. They're wonderful. They spend so much time and dedication ensuring that the units are aligned, that it streamlines, that students learn at the end this end goal that they're trying to achieve in any of the arts that that our students are interested in. And it definitely does build a great culture in the school. Yeah, we're coming in, we're learning reading, we're learning math, we have our science class, but then I have my digital music class, or I have my science lab that I'm going to work on today, and so it just stems beyond the classroom just a little bit, and having those experiences just makes school a great place to be. And like us as adults now, we're remembering what we've done when we were in elementary school and middle school. So just allowing those experiences to expand beyond the classroom is the goal.
It's very powerful.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I know, Mr. Munzie, you and I were talking previously to us sitting down here about how you work collaboratively with the other area teachers. So your music production is not existing in isolation where the kids are choosing, do I want science or do I want music? It seems like it's all coming together. So can you tell us a little bit about how you do that work and how it crosses over?
Sure. I mean, I spend quite a bit of time communicating with the other teachers and the other subjects and the other grade levels as well. What are you working on? What are we doing? I wanted to do, I'll give you an example of one project that we're doing now is we're doing an OK Go cover. It's it started off as a germ where, okay, we're going to learn this song, we're going to record it, put it together, and then I started watching the videos and that they have, and they have one video with a Rube Goldberg machine. I thought, oh, that's super cool. They have another video with the same song where they have a marching band. I thought, well, that's super cool. And so I sat there and I started like arranging this so the kids could do it. And now they're fully literate. They can read the arrangement. So I made a few phone calls and I'm like, called the guy at Miami High. I said, would you like your marching band to be on the recording with us? And they said, yeah, that'd be great.
Amazing.
So like, wonderful. So I thought, okay, so my 5th graders are recording this and I have a marching band. Wouldn't it be cool if I got the 3rd and 4th graders involved also, and the 2nd graders involved also in the same recording? I could have a recording that goes from kindergarten through high school. And that would be an amazing thing to showcase. And I thought, yeah, that's cool. It's totally possible. And everybody just was so into pitching in. I thought that was great. But it seemed like a lot of work to put the video together with the marching band. So essentially what I said was, well, let's do the one with the Rube Goldberg machine. So now we have the science department involved in that and trying to figure out how we're going to put this video together before the end of May.
You can do it. You can do it.
Yeah.
To have all these components in place. So we have our recorded music that's going to coincide with this Rube Goldberg machine that has to happen in time, which means we have to do the math to figure out how long each machine is going to take to get from beginning to end. And that's one example of it. But I spend some time going back and forth, especially when we were doing our summer camp last year. We were all together anyway, so that one was easy. It was, what are we working on? Okay, you're working on a robot, or you're doing this. We did one trip out to the Fairchild Garden, and I took our field recorder with us, and I gave a couple kids some field recorders, and we took samples of spades and shovels and different tools and airplanes that flew overhead and all sorts of stuff. And we brought it back. We would manipulate those sounds. How can we turn this into a bass drum? Or how can we turn this into a synthesizer? Or how could we turn this into whatever? Or how could we use it? In the recording that you talked about, the
New Soul.
New Soul. Yeah. It starts off with the kid, and you hear kids running around on a playground. We actually recorded that on a playground, and that's part of the recording as well, from beginning to end. And so there's always collaboration between us. And I think a lot of the faculty there is super easy to get along with. They all want to be involved with one another. It's fun.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, and what a great way of kind of seeing the world differently, right? Because now
Right.
I'm going on this science field trip and I'm listening to the sounds that the shovels make on the ground, and now I'm bringing it back and making music, which I think is incredible. And when we talk about our magnet programs, that's what we mean when we say it's throughout the whole day. You're not just going to school and getting this one music class. You're getting it throughout the day. And one thing that I wanted to bring up, because you brought up summer camp, and just to kind of inform our listeners and viewers, because this STARTS program comes with this grant, right? There's money that we get to support our programming. So with that, kids in your program don't only get their full school day. I know you have a Beyond STARTS program that you offer, and then there's also summer camp, right? So I just want to make sure that families understand it's not just a regular school day. They're actually getting a lot more.
Yeah, and it expands beyond the 8 hours. We have things going on after school. We have it in the summer, so the interests can continue, and it continues to grow. And summer is always sometimes a questionable time. What do we do in the summer with our students or with your child? Where can I get them invested into something they enjoy. So having them continue that transition from our regular school year calendar into the summer, it's just a great opportunity to keep expanding on their interests and growths. And then it also helps us prepare for next year too, for the following school year. It's just we're constantly evolving and just making sure that our students are getting the best out of the magnet program and beyond that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I felt like I had a thought in my head, and I can't remember. You were mentioning.
Well, I mean, I can tell you, there's one thing that I do talk about a lot in class. Like sometimes I'll bring in some virtual guests. Like last year, I have a friend of mine that does the sound effects for SpongeBob, and like, okay,
Wow.
come in and do this. And we just zoomed in. We went to school together. That's why I was able to make that happen. And then, but what was kind of cool is every time that we do something like this, where it's a collaboration. I try to make sure that they understand that it's more than just music. If you watch the credits at the end of a movie, every single thing on that list is a job,
Right.
and they're all related. If you watch the moon mission that just went up, it's not just the astronauts, not just the engineers. You need accountants. You need, people that are going to work the grounds. You need people that are going to. Build things. All of these things are important, and they're all related, and they all work together.
Yeah.
So just knowing at least that they're a part of the bigger picture, no matter what part it is, they can still be a part of something.
Absolutely.
It's the same.
Yeah, it's the critical thinking that goes, it's beyond that. So, simple in academics, when we're reading a story, we can read it and look at it in one perspective, read it again, look at it in a different perspective, a third time, and a totally different idea and view comes into place. When it comes to reading math, we can solve problems in so many multiple different ways. So having students realize through the arts, through science, through music, that there's so many other avenues and ways to approach life and to approach sound, and that's the whole critical thinking part of it. So when they do read a story or a newspaper article, something they're interested in, they see it beyond just words on a page, and that's what we want to build for our students, those opportunities where they can think beyond just the subject of a class.
Right, and I think that is what you guys are doing, right? With all of these hands-on activities, all this learning that takes place outside of the classroom, outside of the school, is really changing them, changing how they're thinking, right? They're not just looking at what's on the paper, but going beyond that.
And you just see it, the way they speak, how they communicate and tell us what their ideas, they become so proud and they take ownership of it. And that's the beauty of what Mr. Muncie does and the team does. Really helps our students take ownership of what they're doing, and they start small and expand every day, building together. And then at the end, they realize what they've built. So seeing that at a young age in kindergarten, and then how that transitions, it's just incredible to see that exposure that they get.
And I do think it's such a perfect program because, again, like when we talk about magnet schools and we talk about follow your child's interests and passions, like when I'm talking about a kindergartner, what are they truly interested in? It's so hard to kind of define that. But a program like STARTS, it's so global in nature and universal. And here you are exposing them to the science that they're going to get regardless, but the way that you're doing it is so different. And now you're talking about music, which they've been learning music, throughout their whole pre-K career and their daycare, because that's how we're teaching babies.
Right.
And now we're kind of expanding that and changing the way that they're thinking about music in that process. So while magnet programs obviously are defined by a theme, with this being so global in nature, this really is setting up kids when they leave you in 8th grade for anything that they want, right? It doesn't have to just be a music or a science program.
Yeah, it's again like beyond that, which is what our magnet program is. So once they hit high school and they go and they start venturing off into what they want to continue pursuing, they can reach interest in the medical field. They can become architects. They become musicians, or beyond that. So it's really just a rooted piece of what they can branch out into when it comes to their interests when they become older. And it's just exposing them to those interests. And I think that's an opportunity for all of our students. When they're young, we don't know yet, but when we start being exposed to things we like, and we have interest in it, they realize, oh, I really like this. I have ideas. And then the students themselves, our kids, they start sharing their ideas with us. And so it starts just evolving into more ideas for thematic units, and then our teachers, how they collaborate with one another based on the interests that our students start to share.
Yeah,
So
which
it's
is
amazing to
great. I
see.
mean, they're learning skills that they're
Yeah.
generalizing throughout.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, for me, it's been incredible to see the transformation of Citrus just from a very historical middle school. And obviously, you had your elementary school to this K-8 center that's offering so much to the community. So, for families listening that are now intrigued about Citrus, how can they learn more? Can they come visit? Like, what can we tell them as far as like if they're looking for school options and they're considering Citrus, how can they find out more?
Absolutely. They're more than welcome to come anytime during our school hours. We're even sometimes there on the weekends, and they're more than welcome. They phone call away if they're interested to come at a time that's convenient for them. I have an amazing staff that will be more than happy to give them a tour, visit some of the classrooms if they'd like to see what our students are doing, and just get a feel for having this place be where they want their child to
Absolutely.
have that exposure. So we're open arms, very welcoming to all that would love to continue that legacy at our school.
Yes, well, good. And you guys are currently accepting applications through
Absolutely.
the Open Seats Magnet application.
Yes.
So for families listening, we reiterate it every week, but that application is currently open, and Citrus is one of the options that families can explore. So we're getting to the end of the show, and we always ask this last question because there's always something that draws families in, right? When we're talking about magnet, there's like a magnet pull. So very briefly, if you guys can each tell me maybe in one or two words what you feel the magnet pull of Citrus Grove and the Start Square program is. And we'll start with you, Ms. Bayo.
Oh, it's so innovative, and it's the energy that you see when students learn something new and take it and make it their own. That's what makes it so unique.
How about you, Mr. Muncie?
So, one of the things that I think Citrus does really well, or at least the magnet courses themselves do really well, is I spend a lot of time getting the kids through the process of practice, the process of doing something. And you can learn anything with the same process. And so what they're learning to do is they're learning to learn. I have kids that come in and maybe they weren't necessarily interested in music at the beginning, but they learned how to play an instrument. And they're like, I actually learned how to play this. And I'm like, yep, you just have to do the thing. And I'm like, so the one thing about this program is that in 10 years, you won't know what the jobs are. You won't know what the skill set you're going to need is. But if you know how to learn that skill set,
Absolutely.
then you're set.
Yeah.
So this gives you a lot of opportunities to go through that process in a lot of different places, in a lot of different disciplines. And it's all in the same place. You can figure out how you can process your stuff. And the kids are pretty good about falling into that.
Yeah.
So I think it's a pretty important skill, and I think it's a good place
Absolutely.
to acquire that because it's got such a diverse course selection. I guess,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for joining me today. This was a great conversation, and I'm glad the community got to learn a little bit more about, Citrus Grove K-8, which is obviously where I went. And a big thank you to our listeners and viewers, as well as Miami's Community News for their partnership in bringing the stories of our schools to the community through this platform. To our families listening, remember that Miami-Dade County Public Schools offers hundreds of magnet programs across the district, giving students the opportunity to explore their passions and discover new pathways. As of right now, families can also apply to our magnet programs through the Open Seats Magnet application. Families, please stay connected and never miss an opportunity by following us on social media at Miami Magnets. That's it for this episode of The Magnet Poll. Keep being drawn to what inspires you, and we'll see you next time.